The masculine singular nouns in Hindi end in a sound. So it's a long a sound that we have in most masculine singular nouns. And these nouns, when they change to the plural, they change to the sound a. An example here. So if I say a boy in Hindi, it is going to be ladka, which ends in a, ladka, which is a boy. When I change it to plural, it becomes ladke. As I said, the rule a for plural changes to a. So ladka changes to ladke. When we speak about other masculine singular nouns which do not end in the a sound, those in the plural stay the same. So if I was saying a man in Hindi, that is admi, which stays the same. You see that admi does not end in a, so it stays the same for both singular and plural. There is no change over there. So we say admi, which is man, as well as men. When we speak about feminine singular nouns, they end in a e sound. So generally, feminine singular nouns end in a e sound, and those nouns in the feminine that end in a e will always take iya in the plural, which means that if I have a word a girl, ladki, it changes to ladkiya in the plural. So we have a girl that we say ladki, and in the plural it becomes ladkiya, which is girls. But we also have some feminine nouns which do not end in a e. So those nouns in the plural would change to the sound a, where if I was saying a woman, which is aurat, this in the plural changes to auratein. Let me repeat that. So when I say a woman, it is aurat, does not end in a e, so it takes a in the plural and becomes auratein. So this is our first rule, understanding about the nouns in Hindi. The second rule when we talk about in Hindi language is about the pronouns that we use in Hindi. So here we are talking about the pronoun you in Hindi. In English, when you are talking to somebody, you always just use the pronoun you, whether you're speaking to someone younger or someone older. But in Hindi, you have two different pronouns, depending on whether you're speaking to someone younger or informal, or if you're speaking to someone older or formal. So when we speak to someone younger, we say tum, tum. But when we speak to someone older, we use aap. So if I'm speaking to my son, I would say tum. If I'm speaking to a friend, I would say tum. But when I speak to my father, I will say aap. If I'm speaking to my teacher, I will say aap. There is one more pronoun that we use in Hindi, which is tu, which is used in a very familiar or sometimes in a rude situation. So in our lessons, we would not be talking about this form, because if you use it at the wrong place, then it may sound a little rude. So we will not use that. Tu is a very familiar or very street form of using you in Hindi. The third rule in Hindi is talking about the sentence structure in Hindi. So let's look at it as with an example from an English sentence. So if I say, I go to school, in the sentence, we have I, which is the subject, go, that's the verb, and school, this is the object. So in English, you always see that the sentence structure is subject, verb, and object. But in Hindi, when we talk about the sentence structure, we always have the subject first, then the object, and the verb in Hindi is always at the end. So if I was saying, I go to school in Hindi, my sentence would be, मैं school jata हूँ, if it's a male saying the sentence. And if it's a female saying it, then the verb changes into the feminine form, and you would say, मैं school jati हूँ. You remember the rule, the first rule, when we said A stands for masculine singular and E stands for feminine singular. We see the same thing when we are talking about the verbs as well, which we are going to talk about further in our lessons. But just to understand it here, that when you talk about the sentence structure in Hindi, the verb in Hindi is always at the end. So no matter whether your sentence is an affirmative, a negative, an interrogative, present, past, or future, the verb will always be at the end. So these are the 3 rules to understand the language better.